You're watching Rurouni K95's anime review on Soul Eater. Hi, Ruronis. This is your pal Rurouni K95 here. Today's anime review, we get to cover an anime series from 2008. For today's anime review is Soul Eater. Soul Eater is a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Atsushi Okubo, set at the Death Weapon Meister Academy. Yep. The series revolves around three teams, each consisting of a weapon meister and at least one as well. One weapon that can transform into a humanoid that trying to make the latter, and a death scythe, and thus fit for the use of for by the Academy's headmaster Shinigami, which is the personification of death. They must collect the souls of 99 evil humans and one witch in that order. With, with otherwise, they have to start all over again as well. Yep. If you ever see the anime series Soul Eater, especially, yep. So let's review the anime. Okay, let's begin here. So, for the thing about the anime series Soul Eater, especially, I mean, maybe the Japanese culture remembers how close the supernatural world is to our own, as opposed to our jaded, cynical, there's no such thing as ghosts Western mindset, or maybe that age us to understand from the first-hand experience that science does not solve everything, or maybe they just love ghost stories. Either way, you can hardly turn over to a metamorphical rock without finding an anime that has ghosts, gods, demons, and spirits, and physics, etc. But still, out of all of them, this one stands as a particular or Halloween appropriate title for an anime series like Soul Eater. But anyways, and what with the witches and reapers, the souls, and the Grim Reaper himself, and the struggle against a virulent madness as well. Soul Eater is an action-based anime following the students and teachers at the DWMA, that's the Death Weapon Meister Academy for short as well, as they fight the forces of evil. Typically, witches and some monsters try to protect the world from an infection of fear and madness. It's pretty good for the most part, and it's easy to see why it's popular. It has wacky and daring characters, hilarious jokes, excellent action, enthralling drama, and a gripping plot which does not hesitate to delve into dark, horrifying subject matter as well. As far as the characters go each of them is interesting and unique in their own way, particularly. But the interaction between them is what really sells it. They work together as in the partnerships and teams, so it was crucial to not only craft each individual, but each partnership properly. They need to make sense, and in terms the audience could easily see and understand while entertaining us. Particularly for the anime series like Soul Eater, although if you ever see the anime series as well, particularly for the only thing about it as well. Maka Alburn, for instance, is a bookish girl, but also a fierce fighter and caring and capable, and not one to tolerate nonsense. Her partner is a boy named Soul, who loves to be cool and confident, is determined to get stronger and fulfill his duty to Maka to protect her. They are fairly normalish for this show, and usually strike as an easy balance with each other. Black Star, by contrast, is a highly unorthodox assassin, by which I mean he is a brash loudmouth who is nothing sort of obsessed with his own greatness as well. So much that he flubs up nearly every assassination he attempts to be still as a skilled, powerful fighter. His partner is Tsubaki, a girl who is noticeably older than him, is more quiet, considerate, tolerant, and adaptable, not to be confused with his weakness and submission. Then there is the son of Lord Death himself, Death the Kid, who is among the strongest and most intelligent souls in the series, but is permanently excited to ridiculous, hilarious proportions on his admiration for absolute visual symmetry. Thus, he has two partners for the Thompson sisters, Patty and Lizzie, one being a ditz who laughs at everything than any other animal on the planet, and the other being more serious and down to earth, grounding the antics of the other two. Though she can freak out easily when faced with something scary or gross, especially in Soul Eater. Each partnership is strong and manages to balance itself out onto something mostly functional. If it's also distinct in the crowd as these three sets find themselves working together often, and they become bound as comrades as well as friends, even if there is a friction between them, as every so often they're the A team among the students and the DWMA, three skilled Meisters and their weapons. Wait, what was that? The three E-Meisters and their what weapons? When I first watched Soul Eater for the first time, I was basically particularly overwhelmed at the first. I mean, the first basic premise of the show apparently is that there is a monsters which devour human souls, what you see in Soul Eater, and to combat these, we have the DWMA, which trains Reapers to protect humanity. Of course, these Reapers come as Meisters, armed with the mystical abilities, which are enhanced by living weapons, while many other stories feature weapons which are alive in some way, as well as there are many ways where it is so literal that the weapon is actually a person who transforms into one particularly. Soul is a scythe. Patty and Lizzie are matching pistols, and Tsubaki can be a variety of weapons as needed. It is interesting, but the kind of disturbing to think for the fact about for the or too long. I mean, there are actual literal living people being used like in inanimate objects, instruments of killing and taking an unending of series of blows for their Meister. These are weapons that bleed and feel pain and scream. There's just something unsettling about that. And of course, there's how Maka is the daughter of a weapon and his Meister, which is not only makes their treatment all more disquieting, but okay. There are some topics which cannot be discussed with any type of degree of tact. So moving on to a completely different subject. I mean, speaking about the humor of Soul Eater, there is a lot of time of laughing for dealing with such dark material as trauma and horror. The show can inspire a lot of laughter. There was an entirely due to the characters with their zany mannerisms, umming together to craft hilarious scenes between them. I especially enjoyed how it sups and makes fun of the usual tropes like making the assassin a loudmouth or making the Grim Reaper ridiculous and funny, particularly if you ever see Soul Eater. As for the action, I really enjoyed it pretty well. The animation was smooth and fluid, very good, doing justice to the fighting style and wits of particularly heroes and villains alike in general. The fights were well crafted and made sense within the fantastic world of Reapers, monsters, warriors, and witches. There are personal stakes, especially as old advisories return in the bonds were tested, added to the excitement as were invested one side or the other, one way or the other. As many times the outcome depend on using wits and skills with precision, though occasionally it came down to some ridiculous boost in power, which can be a little campy even when we're still loving it. There were a couple of deus ex machina moments, especially towards the end, where it felt like something adventurous was happening just because small flaw but generally forgivable. At this point, forgivable because of the drama, the story that played it out, and what it meant skating around spoil as much possible as I recall. I will say that there were some instances, but it was and explained how something was happening in Soul Eater, but it served the characters' respective stories. When the enemy is redeemed from the pain and darkness, for instance, by the light of childlike love, and one cares a bit less about what is happening, like what is going on in Soul Eater, particularly. What brings us to the plot, and it's not perfect in every moment throughout the show. The dramatic distrust felt a bit forced instance, but overall it was fairly well told and well constructed. I don't think it how to explain what is going on to say that there's an ancient of evil which returns released by the first primary villain of the show and plunges to the world into chaos and madness, various factions to try to take advantage of the situation to further their own agenda. That's a fairly simple summary. There is a plum number of moving plot arcs involved, as well as the various characters to take paths that join together and diverge and come back together again, and much of it develops either the characters or the world they're in as well. On that last, there were clearly some things set up in this world that they were never really got around to elaborating on stories they somewhat alluded to be never told. Even though I have read the manga particularly, but I could feel there were differences anyway. There must be for the best of what I heard. I've heard the anime might have been more sensible, the streamlined version of the story, as the anime begins with the three prologue episodes have several obvious fillers at this point, as it was how you expect that doesn't contribute anything beyond a few more laughs and the character of Excalibur was especially useless considering all the attention they gave him. Even Blair the cat, which had a minimal amount of use, they may say something particularly or what is going on in Soul Eater. I admit particularly something about Soul Eater. There are some other off-putting things about mostly around about the world building, like the whole people or weapons concept for what you see in the particular anime series, like Soul Eater, particularly. So basically, for the anime series, like Soul Eater is flawed and perfect show, but one is that is immensely entertaining. It's a great eye candy, not just because of the girls, and it draws us with the characters in order to weave a spell-binding narrative around them. Yep. One that is hilarious and one horrific and heartwarming in turns. It's just a really good, enjoyable story for this particular anime series like Soul Eater. Why? Because this anime series has capsulated over 51 episodes from April 7th, 2008 until March 30th, 2009. I mean, what can you get when you have a 25 manga, although the original Soul Eater manga has only lasted 25 volumes as well. For this production of this anime series like Soul Eater particularly, it was directed by Takuya Igarashi and produced by Bones, Aniplex, Densetsu Media Factory, and TV Tokyo, especially for the anime series like Soul Eater. And I noticed there's another Soul Eater series, like particularly Soul Eater Late Night Show or Soul Eater Not, which is another series, particularly, which we will get to that title in good time. But I had to discuss about the Soul Eater anime series. If you haven't seen Soul Eater, I highly recommend you to watch it on Crunchyroll online on there, or if you can get it on DVD and Blu-ray that is released by Funimation, because it's been a while since I watched Soul Eater, because I find Soul Eater an outstanding anime series. I mean, if you ever read the manga or if you watch the anime adaptation as well. So that's going to be it for my anime review on Soul Eater for today's anime review. Thank you for watching, but before we go, here's my thoughts on this anime. When I first watched it, I really admired the series because I have been realized that it was overwhelmed for the anime series Soul Eater. I mean, how the animation for what they have did for what TV Tokyo and Funimation has a lot to do for Soul Eater and everything else and so forth. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Hope subscribe for content. My anime plan link in the description below. You can share this video on your Twitter, Facebook if you have Twitter and Facebook account, and all social media. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up by clicking on the like button. Be sure to feel free to leave in the comments in the comment section. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, RoniK95. Feel free to join my channel, especially if you know my channel. Hit the notifications bell button. Keep it otaku for this anime review, and I got another anime review coming up next year. What I have.
Stay tuned for my next anime review. I got another anime series that I'll review for tomorrow's anime review on D. Gray Man. Stay tuned for my next anime review on D. Gray Man, because you won't want to miss another anime review.